This is Dave Daly with KeizerTV.com. We are here today at the Keizer Civic Center at the skate park. We're here talking with Keizer City Councilor Amy Ryan, and we're going to be covering something that our council and our city staff have been working on very, very hard to find a solution long-term for our parks. And, you know, we've been a city here in Oregon since the early 80s, and our town has evolved when we were 10,000, 15, 20, and now we're at 37. And everybody, we have a discussion about our parks and what we need to do as a community to make sure these beautiful parks get maintained, taken care of. So Amy, for audiences, give us a little bit of rundown about the status of our parks and why we're even having this discussion this year.
Sure. Thanks, David. Well, thanks for the opportunity to share. There's a lot of information, and of course you can read it on the city website, but I wanted to kind of do a synopsis so that people can really grasp what we're talking about. And I think knowing that we have a deficiency and really educating the public is important. So that's the goal today. I think it all comes down to the livability and the safety of our city. And of course, livability, it means more jobs. And so we talk a little bit about that too. But you've heard me say this before, Keizer has growing pains, unfortunately, and it's a good thing, but it has to be in moderation and well planned and well thought out, and we are doing that as a city. I'm very proud of our council and our city staff, but we want to be transparent and talk to the community about what is important to them and how that looks to their budgets and their future needs and their families, because as we're a growing, very diversified community, and I think that's part of our growing pains. So.
It is really important, and in this video, we're going to give you a link to a survey that we really need you over the next couple weeks to weigh in on. It's the feedback we're getting from you Keizer citizens. The decisions are going to be made here at the City Hall. So make sure you find the links here at the end of this interview about not only the survey that we're all evaluating on our parks, but also how to get involved with our Keizer Parks Board. And maybe you want to volunteer, get involved. Parks are a beautiful thing in our community, so make sure you don't forget those links. So, Amy, give us the landscape currently.
So, and I apologize, I have notes so I don't forget, because I think it's so important. I don't want to leave anything out. But, you know, Keizer has a great history of being fiscally conservative. I think that's extremely important. Keizer also has always looked to other sources to have things funded. And we've done a good job of utilizing what little resources we have and making them stretch a long way. And then we do that mostly through volunteerism, matching grants, things like that. We've done an excellent job. We have exhausted our resources. It's time for Keizer residents and the people of Keizer to kind of step up and be a part of the process and to take some ownership in what that looks like. And so I'm excited that I think it falls on our responsibility as residents to shape what our city looks like and what our parks look like for our future right. And our kids. So I think that's critical.
So
and
dive into some numbers for us. What are we looking at, Amy?
Well, first of all, I do want to mention, I think it's really important. People ask me all the time, well, let's have the businesses pay for it. Well, no, let's not have the businesses pay for it. I think that's really important. We want to attract new businesses, not give them more fees and things like that. That being said, I think there's some great parks programs that sponsor a park and things like that to take pride in ownership. But I don't want to put the money into onto the businesses for a responsibility. I think that's our responsibility as residents to really step up and invest in our community. Right. So let's talk numbers. Okay, so Keizer, as I said, is super conservative. The bottom line, our tax rate is 2.08%. It's the lowest permanent tax rate in Oregon for any full-service city, and we are flatlined. And I think that's really important to say. We've done such a great job with what we have. It's now time to look forward and what that means. So out of our city taxes, when you pay your taxes, they go to the city. Really, out of all the taxes that you pay, 13% of that, of your property taxes, comes back to the city. Okay. And out of that 13%, it goes into a general fund. That's divided by parks and police, and then, of course, other maintenance and things like that. Right. And all of this is available in detail on the website. So I don't want to be misquoted, but I want you to be able to know you have a resource to go look at that.
Yeah, I'll put the URL on screen.
Perfect. So out of the 3%, out of the 13%, 3% comes into parks. 3.2% comes into parks, to be specific. And that's about $336,000. That's one employee. It sounds like a lot of money, but remember, we have 240 acres and 19 parks. So it's really not a lot of money. And let's compare that. So before I do that, I do want people to know that we have resources like our SDCs, which is our our system development charges for when there's development in Keizer. That money comes back into that general fund. But that has to be levied for new. We can't use that for that dollar figure for maintenance and repairs. And this kid's safety is very, very important to us. So that's what that looks like. And then that has to be a 13% match. So it's not even a full match, David. Wow. Yeah. So I think people don't understand that. So Keizerites, as we're growing, as we're expanding, and we're looking for the sustainability long term, we can do a lot of little things to fix things. We've always done things like, we're such a community that pulls together, but a car wash isn't going to fix this problem. And I always laugh about that's my go-to, but it's true. It's time for everybody to commit. And so I do want to talk about, out of all my notes, I'm summarizing, honest. Let's talk about cities that correlate in numbers. So comparing city, Beaverton pays $6 a month. For their parks. West Lynn, $13 a month. Springfield, $38 a month. Bend, Oregon, $32 a month. And McMinnville, $23. And Woodburn's a great example. They have a huge park budget, $27 million. They also have a recreation district. $4 million goes into their parks. Wow. And to be honest, they have 72 full-time employees, and they're not even the same size as us. And we're doing everything on one employee. And I want so much for people to understand that demographics, they're changing. Yeah. And that's important to notice. Salem has compression. We do not. So I think that's an important factor when you're looking at the bigger picture, because we don't charge for our parks. Okay, we're not charging anybody taxes and fees, and we're not raising our taxes. We're locked into that. So Keizer's a great place to live, but we need to keep it more livable, the livability up and the planning and the process.
And that's why we're giving in the survey some options. What would $2 per household monthly get you to take care of our parks? What would $8 get you? And folks, we're way, way, way below what all of our surrounding neighbors are investing in their parks. So Keizer has a history of being extremely prudent. There's no other town that has more volunteer horsepower than Keizer. But folks, this is a great time to see, one, that Keizer has always been prudent, got way done on shoestrings, and now we have a chance to bump it just a little bit, and you have an option weighing in what you're going to get for those increments. So,
and I've broken it down to even a cup of coffee. The survey can, of what you're willing to look at or increase per month is, compared to a cup is $0, of course, is an option. Cup of coffee or even a dinner out. $8 for 1 month is very, very little for what our parks need. And, so many people come to me and say, oh, we need soccer parks and we need recreation fields and more for sports for our kids. We want so much to do all that, but it's not responsible of us as a city to go forward until we can maintain and repair what we have for the safety of our kids. And so I love the idea and the conversations of moving forward, and I want that to happen. I can't wait to see that grow. I've seen Keizer grow a lot over the years, as you know, but and as you said, becoming a city. But the reality is, and we're just not there. And we have to take this responsibly with a plan. And that's what this is. And so we're asking, we're really asking the citizens to get involved, of course, participate in the survey. Your voice matters. Even if you say, no, I don't use the parks and it's not important to me funding. But then we have a lot of families who go, oh my gosh, we love the parks and we want that. So I'm excited to say that that there's a diversity out there. We want to hear everyone's voice. Due to our charter and the way Keizer's set up as a city, the city council gets to make this determination. I hate hearing later, oh, I didn't know. There's no excuse now for not knowing. We are totally transparent with this, and we're out talking to people, knocking on doors, handing out information, driving people to the survey, which is, it takes a few minutes, it takes some thought, but it's worth it because it's the direction of our city, and I can't stress that enough. And I think I do want to add, if it's okay, David, the important thing is with the livability of Keizer is that in our general fund is police and parks. This is not an either or. So we're police, you might have noticed that we've got some conversation going for an increase in police fees, or a fee for police and a fee for parks. Not an either or, they're together. And I think that they're both critical, they support each other, and they really make the city, the livability that we have. And so I think people need to know that we're being transparent, there's accountability. We could just impose a fee and say, hey, here's what we're gonna do, and not give you the information, but we want to show you and break it down into the parks and into the police, and what that means for the community, and show you the numbers, because that accountability and transparency is really crucial.
And we're seeing a uptick in real estate values. Portland is in crazy values, and Hundreds of people a month are moving to Oregon, and it's putting pressure here on our Keizer community. One of the assets of why people choose to live in an area are the parks. So beautiful parks, maintained, taken care of, add intrinsically to all of our age groups, from our little guys to our seniors. It's really one great thing that adds to the value of living in Keizer. So
And it keeps our crime down. It keeps our crime down. It keeps it livable. It keeps people, you know, wanting to take pride in their community. There's a lot of effects that it has. It's not just, you know, one. It's a trickle effect for everything. And so
we may not have been able to cover all your questions in this interview. I'm going to put Amy's email and Matt with our park board email also, because these guys have every single I dotted, T crossed. If there's a question that we weren't able to cover, please engage. Now's the time to make these choices. And exactly, we've got 2 town halls coming up discussing this park issue. Here's the dates on screen as well. Would love to have you come out. We've got many organizations who say they're coming out, who use our parks, our kids' soccer organizations, many other youth organizations that use our parks. They're around the table. They want to do what they can. So, and it's the spirit of Keizer. We usually show up. It's what makes living here terrific. Again, the lowest tax rate in the state, everybody. And that is a reason of great volunteers like Amy and a great legacy of the folks who work for our city and our city volunteers, between our city councilors and our mayor. They've just always watched the numbers. And now, as a growing community, we have a new way to engage you, talk to you. So thanks for talking with me, Amy, and summarizing this great story. It's an honor to be part of Keizer. More great stories. Check out keizertv.com. Thank you very much.